lifeboat. So glad to see everybody. Let me see if I can get this squared away. Live chat. Okay. We are old school today. Mr. Mark Wages has a recital for his daughter. Very cool. One of those timely things this time of year. Pretty happy about that. He is pretty confident that he will be with us for the next live feed at 6 o'clock. So we'll be seeing a little of Mark, but a little bit later in the day. So a couple of things before we get rolling. There's some general housekeeping stuff that I would like to take care of. First of all, everybody, you need to keep Saigon Cinnamon in your thoughts and prayers. He's just got a lot going on in life. And Saigon is one of those people that is selfless to a fault. Love the guy like a brother, but he is selfless to a fault. And he's just not the kind to come and ask for, for any assistance. He sort of wants to make sure that everybody else is taken care of. And sometimes that means he puts himself on the back burner. So we want to keep our thoughts and our prayers for Saigon Cinnamon and the whole family, his dad, his boy, all of them. So if we could just keep all of them in mind, that would be great. We've got Charlie Mullins. We've got Fiona Crispin, Lady Fiona Crispin. We have Miss V. DJ Daddy O, how are you, Mr. T? The crew is coming in down the walkway onto the deck. All right, people. This morning's video, if you caught it, I was talking about how I've been doing a lot of research lately on imaging of the mind. And I'm sorry, imaging of the brain. There's really a difference between the mind and the brain. And I think very oftentimes what we talk about is the mind and the functioning of it. What we don't talk about a lot is the actual physiology of the brain itself. And in keeping with that tradition, I'm not going to talk about it now. I will be talking about it in the near future, but there was a couple of things that I wanted to take care of, and I figured this is a nice and intimate setting, just me hanging out with my friends. It is the holiday season, and we're going to be seeing a lot of people doing a lot of shopping, and for that reason, chances are our feeds are going to be a little bit thinner. Traditionally, this time of year that happens. Now, it hasn't happened to us yet, which I think is odd, but it probably will be happening as we get deeper into the month of December. So while it is just all of us hanging out, it gives us an opportunity to do some cool things. One of those things is, hold on one second. Oh, yes. Thoughts and prayers with Rhett Grizzly Griffin. He has recently had carpal tunnel syndrome on his left arm, and he's got it sort of wrapped up, and it looks remarkably like one of my hands now. He's got the thing completely, wrapped. So, but I saw him go and do a video yesterday. If you've never gone over and checked out that channel, you really ought to. Just a very positive cat. But he did a video yesterday that I was able to get on in the morning. So yeah, he did have surgery. He's doing pretty well, and that's the first of two. He's going to need carpal tunnel syndrome surgery on his other hand as well. And there is Saigon Cinnamon. Saigon, I was just mentioning you. So glad that you're here, brother. Hope everything is going well for you. So as I was saying, people, we get an opportunity to be a little bit more intimate, and that gives us a chance to do some talk that pertains more toward what we do here. Because I want you people to think, hey, M. Hunt, great to see you. Really good to see you. Hi, guys. Prayers for everyone in need. M. Hunt, love you, brother. Glad you're here. So I want you guys to be doing some thinking between now and, say, the next 3 or 4 live feeds, 5 live feeds. Reach out to me. Direct message, email, any way you want to. And if you have any suggestions in terms of the lifeboat, things that you think may improve it, things that you think should be added, subtracted, whatever the case may be, there is going to be an amazing an amazing amount of change in the lifeboat in 2022. And the form that takes and the shape that takes is something that Mark and I are going to be doing a lot of talk about. But it is one of those situations that, the more input we get from all of you, because as we've said so many times, this is your boat. So we really are looking forward to getting as much input as we can from everybody in terms of what they would like to see with the future of the boat. And everybody weighing in on that. The more that you do, the better we're going to be able to take everything that you say and sort of, put it into practice, wherever applicable. If it's one of those things that we can do and make the boat better, obviously we want to do that. But the last time I did a countdown, for those of you who have been here from the very beginning, from the word go, that original countdown for the launch of my show was, I don't remember how long it was. It was a very, very long time. We joked that it was the longest countdown in the history of countdowns. But we do want to start the countdown now. We have 27 days left in this year. And I promise you, people, that when 2002 rolls around, it will be better, but it will be really different. The lifeboat is going to evolve, and it's going to be something that I think is going to benefit the crew and the captain in every way, and of course the first mate as well. So we're getting all of these things sort of in place. A lot of it we've already talked about, so it's stuff that we'd be rehashing. The last live feed that I did was the one where we had the beautiful letter that I read, full of really heavy stuff. And everybody remembers the reading of that letter. It caused a bit of a stir because somebody said something kind of callous during the time that letter was being read. After speaking with him, you heard me say that what he said was he wasn't aware of what the content of that letter was, which was where the problem came in. When you go back and you listen and you read, it doesn't really seem like that is the case. But he is not blocked, people, and he might be back. He said he would not be, but people have a way of coming back. Speaking of people having a way of coming back, he had a supporter that was supporting him that evening, and we talked about that as well. That supporter ended up being somebody that we all know well. He's been blocked on this channel now, I can't tell you how many times. So just the reason I bring this up, I'm not using any names, we don't give these people credit, but it's another example of what happens when you do live feeds. You get people that show up and do what they do. Look for attention. They're like petulant children, truthfully. And they come and they look for attention because they can't get it on their own. So that individual will not be part of this show anymore. We have said if somebody wants to come back, they can do it. But what they need to do is email me and we, have an opportunity to talk about what exactly was happening and why things went awry the first time around. But if I gave you the list of aliases that this guy has used, you'd go, oh, I remember him. Oh, I remember him. Oh, I remember him. Because he'll come here and he'll act like a human being for 5 or 10 live feeds, and then he will inevitably say something that is off color, something that is just for the sake of doing the hate thing. And when those things happen, we get rid of them. You can't sneak back in the back door. That's not allowed. If you want to tell us what happened and work things out and there are people that have, by the way. We have people that have been blocked and have managed to come back and become a very productive member of the boat. But a lot of you had said, this guy doesn't seem right. A lot of you reached out to us, and almost everyone who did had a blue wrench. So Mark and I have discussed it, and we're going to be putting more faith in the blue wrench crew so that when they see things that don't smell right, that they'll be in a position to do something about it so that it doesn't rear its head further on down the road, because that's one of those things that doesn't benefit the channel and everything that we do, right? The design is to benefit the channel. Okay, so enough of all of that jazz, right? No, that's no fun. So just to recap, if you just got here, we're going to be wanting some prayers for Rhett Grizzly Heat Griffin. He had carpal tunnel surgery on his left hand, and for that reason, he will be taking things slow As soon as it heals up, he's having surgery on the other one. Now the surgery went great, but he's healing, and we just need to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. And prayers for one of my favorite crew members and his family, because he wouldn't ask for it himself, and that's just kind of who he is. But I would like some thoughts and prayers for Mr. Saigon Cinnamon, who, aside from the fact that I named him, he's just one of the best of us. He really is. Just a great guy, and not somebody that's going to ask for, thoughts and prayers. So sometimes the captain has to do it for someone. And we could use thoughts, prayers, positive energy, everything like that for Saigon, for his dad, his boy, for the whole crew, right? The whole Cinnamon family, if you will. So, and then I wanted to talk about what the subject matter of the day was. If you saw the thumbnail, I was talking about taking away, the big takeaway. And this is something that I think it's a different philosophy. And it's one that I think is important that we introduce, because there are two real main philosophies when it comes to changing the brain, and which is something we talk about all the time. There are two philosophies. One is that you try to reprogram, right? You try to go through some techniques like the ones that we've talked about, where you evaluate what's going on in your brain, the emotional feelings, and you give yourself a little bit of time to reflect on them. Then you ask yourself, am I feeling this emotion? Is this emotion legit? Can I let this go? Will I let this go? Those kind of thoughts, to take it from the emotional to the analytical part of the brain. That's the normal concept. Basically, what it means is that you're going to reprogram by literally putting new stuff into the brain to cancel out all the stuff that is going on that isn't positive. And that is the lion's share of every book. That's the lion's share of every video. All of the self-help gurus will tell you techniques that you can do in order to change how you feel and how that process of the brain is happening. For some people, those are exercises where you're working through adding thoughts and adding thought processes to the brain. For some people, it's completely done through physiology, right? The body. If you walk around like this, or if you sit and slouch like this, you have a completely different attitude than if you sit up, sort of push your chest out, get a little oxygen in, and start. When you change your physiology, very oftentimes you can change, sort of how you feel and get that entire process going, because there is obviously a very strong correlation between the body, and the mind. And the more you sort of control the physiology of your body, the easier it is to start to get back onto an even keel, right? That is the thought process. The takeaway is something that goes from a completely different concept. The sonnet, the Scotch sonnet. Good to see you, my brother. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you. It comes from a completely different concept. So one, you're adding things in, right? So you're pushing more stuff into the brain in order to get what it is you want out of the gray matter. The exact opposite takes place with the takeaway. Sometimes it's called shadow work, because the illustration of like a coin, right? You got the front end of it. This is what we show the world. This is what we don't show the world, right? It's the shadow part of us. So we push all of the good forward and we concentrate on all those things. It tends to be the most positive attributes of us is what we portray to the world. People aren't there when you're doing the, damn, I can't believe that, and gritting your teeth in traffic. And, coming up short in all of the things that we kind of set out to try to do if you're going to be a more positive person. So working the backside, right? The dark side of the personality, so to speak, is sometimes called working in the shadows. And the takeaway is something that you see an awful lot associated with that technique, as opposed to putting something new into the system that is going to override or help you do something differently. It's going to go the exact opposite. What you're going to be doing is you do need a TLB sticker. I think I have your address, man, but you do need one. In fact, you probably need a couple. It's the takeaway, as opposed to adding something into the brain to try to get what it is you're trying to get accomplished, right? Being more positive, not negative self-talk. It's making a concentrated effort to remove the defect. Instead of trying to override it, you just do the takeaway. And for some people, this is a much easier concept. And since all of these concepts are really about visualization with the brain, for some, the takeaway is much easier than the add, right? when you start to think about the things that the positive self-talk, you start to talk about things like daily affirmations. It's always very sort of gung-ho, almost masculine, right? I'm gonna get things under control. I'm gonna put this behind me. I'm gonna do all of these things. It almost sounds almost combative. The takeaway is something that works really well visualizing from the opposite side. I'm just going to remove this, right? I'm going to get rid of this, as opposed to it being more of an exercise, I'm going to attack this and sort of get out there and make it happen kind of a thing. It's I'm going to identify my defects and try as hard as possible to get rid of them. The TLB sticker fund. Well played, Seventh Son. Well played. So that ought to help, Saigon. How's that? Got that just took care of chases too. How's that? Get that taken care of. So with the takeaway, it's a pretty simple exercise. In fact, it's such a simple exercise that often it almost seems too simple, right? But I'm always a big fan of the things that seem too simple, because obviously the more complex something is, the less likely the people are to understand it, number one, and number two, to actually try to implement it and put it into practice. So with the takeaway, what we're looking to do is sit down, get a book, get a piece of paper. If you're somebody that journals, you're set, right? But if you don't journal, if it's not something that you do where you write down things, just get a piece of paper and a pen and take about 5 minutes. It's a very, very simple exercise. And I want you to think about a couple of things, right? You got this paper in front of you and there's no noise and you're just sort of being in the moment. Write down the things that you're avoiding. Write down the things in your life that you avoid. What is it in the day-to-day that you do everything within your power to not think about, to not concentrate on, to just get it away and not deal with it? If for some, procrastinators, this is going to be a tougher exercise. But for a lot of us, there's usually one or two things that are really serious in terms of we're doing everything within our power to try to avoid this. Well, list the this. And then what you're going to do is just try to do a conscious visualization of trying to remove this from your, from what it is you're doing, what it is you're thinking. And then just be always, people, in everything that we do, the key to everything when it comes to the brain, there's only a couple of ways you can handle yourself. One is you can attack it from a medical standpoint. And there are a bunch of different, people and a bunch of different philosophies exactly on that. If you can identify the problem and you can get an antidepressant, or you can get, there are drugs that are being heavily used these days as a way to level out brain chemistry, depending on what exactly is going on with the mind. I am not a doctor, right? Don't write prescriptions. Don't recommend drugs. It's not who I am. But the other part of this, the other concept of this, is something that is, using the mind completely to heal itself, to work on the problems that you have, whether it's past trauma, whether it's an addiction, situation where you're constantly craving, your former drug of choice. Whatever it is that's going on in your head, you're going to attack it chemical free. You're going to attack it by either taking away or adding, a mental exercise to try to get yourself back on track. The key to any of those exercises, whether it's taking away something, whether it's adding something, is realizing exactly what's going on in your brain at any given time. And the real trick to this, and it's an expression that you hear constantly anytime somebody talks about self-help, anytime somebody talks about a situation where you're doing anything to try to better yourself, you have to become really aware. You have to become aware of your thoughts as they're happening. And you have to become hyper aware of the positive or negative self-talk that goes on in every single person's mind all day, every day, right? There is, at any time, at any given point during the day, most of us are in the process of talking to ourselves, whether we realize it or not. It's something that we do all day long. And if you happen to be the host of a YouTube channel, then the kind of self-talk that crawls into your head is, am I doing a good job? Right? Or I'm not doing a good job, or I'm not doing this enough, I'm not doing that enough. And you start to really dwell on this talk, and it will get you completely off of your game. And it doesn't matter whether, I use this as an example, obviously, because it's what I do, and I try to use myself as an example most often, right? But Anytime you work in a situation where you talk to the public all day long, whether you're a teacher, no matter what it is you do, you start to question yourself. And then, you get a couple of people that start taking shots at you and saying this or saying that, and you can really start to get bogged down on exactly what it is that the self-talk is telling you. You know what I mean? Well, we're not getting this done enough. There aren't enough people getting help. I feel like no one's listening. I feel like you're done. Once you start to go down that rabbit hole, now the problem becomes this. Very oftentimes, people don't listen to the talk that's going on in their head. Truthfully, we go through the day, we do what we do. One of the reasons that it's so important to have that quiet time, like I beat to death, the idea of turning off all of your digital communications for 30 minutes, right? You've been hearing this a lot. This is something that I continue to talk about. Turn it off, unplug, disconnect for 30 minutes. If you can't, people, well, if you can't, then there's something wrong. If you can't disconnect from the internet and from social media and from everything that the phone attaches you to for 30 minutes, what does that say about what's going on in your life? Right? I mean, if you think about what I do, it's probably important that I answer my emails as quickly as possible. It's probably important that I answer my direct messages because very oftentimes it's somebody that's reaching out and saying, I'm in a really bad place and I'm thinking about getting high. That's not a message you want to get back to someone on in 3 or 4 days, right? I mean, it just isn't. So if I'm going to turn off all of my communication device, if I'm going to unplug from all my social media platforms for a 30-minute period of time, I should probably try to do it at a time where the least number of people are awake. And the least number of people are probably perched on the edge of making an error. I think it's safe to say that the later the day gets, the more of a threat there is of somebody relapsing. So for me, the earlier in the morning that I can disconnect, the better. I don't get a lot of emails and a lot of things that from people that say, hey, I'm thinking of relapsing at 6:30 in the morning. I don't get those a lot. Chi-Chi says, that's exactly why I don't buy data or minutes. When I go out in nature, I want peace. I don't even have song downloaded. You know something? For some people, songs are, add to the peace. For some people, they don't. I find that if I'm trying to listen to music and not have it interfere with the things that are going on in my dome, I really do a lot better with songs that don't have lyrics, like background noise kind of thing. Classical music is great. Anything that is instrumental is something that that works well for me as far as that goes. But to disconnect, nature's a great way to do it, Chi-Chi. I mean, everybody. But yeah, when you're out in nature and you're walking around and there's nothing going on, it's when some of the greatest stuff takes place in your mind. One of the sad things about where we're at in society these days is that we are so darn connected in every way. I mean, do you remember the good old days when sometimes you just couldn't get a hold of somebody? It was not unusual for it to take a day or two for someone to get back to you. That was pretty normal stuff for a long period of time. Now, if someone doesn't get back to you in an hour, you feel like you're being ghosted because we have made it to the point where there are so many. Great job, Brandon is right. I just saw that. Brandon, always a pleasure to have you here. I didn't see the day count, but we're proud of you, brother. We really are. And Daniel Groth says, I have 5 shelter cats. Awesome. Awesome. Seven Sun says, one moment at a time, Brandon. You betcha. You betcha. You just take it. And that, again, it comes full circle, but it's getting back exactly to, for exactly what we're talking about, right? It sort of bends this entire thing, back almost, hold on one second. Yeah, Swiss Vape reached out to me and gave me a phone number I'm unable to dial. I did reach back out to him. He was trying to get me onto WhatsApp. Swiss Vape, if you're in Messenger, might be a better setup. My number, whatever you call it, my access on that format got so absolutely. He said, I really thought that the internet was going to be something that made the world closer, but it is a pandemic and creates mobs and groups of bullies. And that's only one of the problems. I mean, that is definitely one problem with the internet. The other is that the connectivity makes it so that you really start to beat up on yourself if you're out of contact with anybody, even for a short period of time. You start to believe that it's almost like a withdrawal. You know, people really, and I'm not being funny when I say this. Like, there is very, very similar things. If you've never seen a kid that got the internet taken away from them, like, go to a 13 or a 14-year-old girl or boy and pull that phone away from them and say, look, for the next 2 hours, we're not going to be plugged in. They will literally look like an addict in withdrawal. They get to a point where it's frightening. It really is. It's frightening to watch them because it's such a part of who they are. And there are so many people, squirrel. There are so many people that derive their self-worth now from the feedback that they get on the internet, which is terrifying. The Scotch Sonnet says, I can always tell my stress is getting bad when I start reading and listening to music at the same time, or playing a game while watching TV or YouTube videos. My brain is just trying to block it all out. You know what? That's a pretty cool comment, Swiss Vape. Scotch Sonnet. That's a pretty cool concept. And it's exactly what I'm talking about. It's being in the moment. It's seeing exactly what's going on. There are so many of us that don't identify symptoms. That's a gorgeous example of exactly what I'm talking about. If you find yourself listening to music, right, playing a game with and YouTube going on in the background, and you're aware enough to realize that you're trying to block everything out, then it's time to start putting into place some of the different techniques that you can use to mellow yourself out. Saigon Cinnamon says, I watched a kid act like they were addicted to crack over losing a phone. They were scratching and pulling their hair, straight panic mode. People that you can actually go online and watch videos of this, of kids that are forced to be, removed from the internet for any period of time. There were some great stuff when Meta. You guys know that this is actually something I think one of you taught me, so I probably found it out on a live feed. But Meta is now everything. That is that's Instagram, that's Facebook, that's WhatsApp. All of those things are all falling under the heading of Meta, which is like the big company that now owns all of these. And it's one of those. So when Meta went down, I think it was like a month ago, like 3-4 weeks ago, they went down for 5 hours, and they were showing video of people that were having complete and utter meltdowns because they had to go all of that time without being able to. Cindy Lamb says, I need to ask you all. I went day 1 today, no alcohol. Is day 2 going to be tougher? I'm really hoping that the crew weighs in on this one for you, Cindy. I can tell you from the sort of the clinical standpoint of this, I have never withdrawn from alcohol. So, and alcohol, even in my really, really kind of abusive days of getting messed up on everything. It's not to say I didn't drink a lot. I just never really ran into a problem with alcohol. So I've never had to go through the withdrawal. Depending on how far along you are in your alcoholism, day 2 can be dangerous, right? Just depends on how much you're consuming, because alcoholism is one of those, 2 addictions that you just need to really monitor yourself, right? If you're quitting benzodiazepines, or if you're quitting alcohol, and you've been a alcoholic for a long enough period of time, and you have that much alcohol built up into the system where you need certain amounts, then the process of quitting can be dangerous. If you start to see any of the symptoms of what they call the DTs, or the delirium tremens, then you need to get yourself to a hospital. But from correspondence that we've had when we weren't here, I don't think that the amount of drinking that you were doing would probably rise to that. But nevertheless, I'm not a doctor, so what you really need to do is to pay close attention to your health. But as far as just desire goes, the farther you get in, the first 72 hours of the kick of anything is usually the most difficult, because by then any trace of anything is out of your system. Alcohol burns out at 1 ounce an hour. So in theory, it's, unlike other drugs that take 72 hours to get out of your system, alcohol should be out. If you had 8 drinks on Monday, 8 hours later, you should have it out of your system. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. Make sure you come here and you talk to everybody, and please monitor your vitals and things like that. I saw something. I was wanting to go back here. Let's see here, people. Hold on one second. There we go. There we go. There we go. Where is it? Fee Crispin says, Cindy Lamb, I'm proud of you. Just keep it going. It will be hard, but you've gotten through this far. I timed out Swiss Vape by accident. I wish I knew how to untime him out. I apologize, Swiss Vape. Where are you? Can I fix that? No. Wait a second. Swiss Vapor says, I'm blocking lots of things. Avoid the situation. Try to escape Asperger's. It's hard to focus on one topic at once. My situation is usually not hard. In my situation, usually it's not a hard thing to do. Swiss Vape, first of all, I apologize for blocking you out. Trying to find your comment to read is actually how I did it. Hopefully, you're not timed out for long because I'd like to talk to you, so just be patient with me. Unfortunately, it's not something that I can undo, and Seventh Son is bound to say something very funny about this shortly. The Swiss Vape, as far as jumping from one subject to another, or the inability to focus. You say that you have Asperger's, that the part of the brain that controls our ability to switch thoughts from one to the other. For many people is, but you say normally this is not an issue for you, correct? Man, I wish I hadn't timed you out. Chi-Chi said, Swiss, it happened to me before. It was an accident, trust me. It was an accident, Swiss Vapor. I did not mean to do that to you. I really apologize. Yeah, I know he's timed out. Yeah, so hopefully he comes back on here shortly. But there is one part of your brain that controls your ability to focus on one thing versus the other, and the name of it now escapes me. It starts with a C. But there are certain things that you can do in terms of diet, Swiss Vape. The other thing that is that coming here and talking about this, or talking about it one-on-one with anybody from the crew, or doing anything else, if you could reach out to me on Messenger through Facebook, that would be fantastic. It gives me a little bit more control than any of the other platforms. So if you could reach out to me, I'm on all the other ones. It's the easiest one. If you could just reach out to me in Messenger, I would love to talk to you about this one-on-one. And I do apologize. I think that it's usually a matter of a minute or something when someone is timed out, so I'm hoping that you are back here shortly. Yeah. Well, Cindy, we are proud of you. The commitment, the fact that you took the first step is the important part, obviously. There are going to be struggles along the way. You and I talked about this a little bit last week. There are going to be struggles, and it's going to be one of those situations that the longer you are, the longer that your recovery goes, the more you're going to run into to different kinds of sort of unique things. But as far as the physical withdrawal things go, I don't think it should be too tough. Me say something about ITT Tech scholarships? Yeah, it's the fingers. Yep, it is the fingers, and I truthfully apologize. People, if you could see, the problem is that I'm not using a mouse, I'm using a touch screen. So when I go over and somebody goes by too quick and I go to, right? What I need to do, believe it or not, is I got to try to figure out a way to remove myself from the... So I shouldn't be able to have moderator privileges. That would really make things a whole lot easier. But when I start to do this, I have been known to accidentally block somebody, accidentally time somebody out, and that stinks. Tommy has those bear paws. Swiss Vapor, I'm sorry. Please don't leave. I know that it's just a period of time, and then you will be unfrozen. But... yeah, Leisure Beast, we're there's a very cool dynamic. It's one of the things, honestly, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Here's Miss V, and she says, referring to Leisure Beast, "You are strong, Leisure, and you're back now. I'm proud of you for going all you went through and giving me the courage and the hope for the future." People, that's an X. To me, that is one of the coolest concepts in the world. The fact that you guys are as close as you are is just, it's amazing. It says a lot about the potential for what can happen when there are people that sort of don't buy into the whole, I need to dislike you. We used to have a relationship, and people, it's something that rears its head so often. It really is. But it's beautiful that you guys have the relationship that you have. There's obviously so much care between the two of you, and I'll tell you, Leisure, I don't know that I've said it a lot. Enough here, but I'm very, very happy that you invited Miss V onto the boat. I think it was one of those things that really Swiss Vapor. There we go. I knew it. You hate me. I'm in the embryo position and crying. You owe me a bit. You know what? I am sorry, Swiss Vapor. I knew you hate me. Oh, people. I'm not touching the screen anymore. That's it. I swear to you. Now, I'm never saying anything again, Swiss Vapor. You got me. I am never saying anything again. Angel Mist, I believe is the name I saw. Angel Mist, welcome to the lifeboat. We're glad to have you. And let me make sure that I don't touch anything on this. Right? We're going to see if we can't, if I can't check something on here without making any contact with anybody, because obviously it's not something that I'm good at. Yeah, Swiss Vapor, that was cold-hearted. It's very, very funny, but I assure you that I love you like a brother. Just the fact that I stuck you in timeout for no reason should not in any way dissuade you from the fact that I care a great deal, and I am terribly, terribly sorry. Welcome back, Swiss. We missed you. Yeah, we really did. I'm sorry, Swiss Vapor. That was awesome. Leisure Beast says, "Me too, Tommy," referring to being glad that he made the invite. And Leisure, it's good that you're back full time. I know that you really went through it, but it's so awesome to see you in every one of the live feeds now. That is something that really sort of warms my heart. You're Captain Clumsy Squirrel. If that sticks, I will be very, very unhappy, Swiss Vapor. That is really funny. Yeah, that really is funny. So, people, I need to, before we go pure questions here, and I'm going to, but I do want to take the opportunity to say, people, I'm going on vacation, right? Everybody knew that. And there has been some talk concerning, thank you, Swiss Vapor, even if I am Captain Clumsy Squirrel. I appreciate that, Swiss. I really do. I'm sorry, my brother. So I'm going on vacation. Everybody knows this. I'm going to be in Florida. I'm going to hopefully get my eyes fixed so I can stop doing that squinting thing. But it's going to mean just a slight change in things around here. I will continue to be doing live feeds. I'm going to be doing them from the East Coast instead of the West Coast, and I may not do one every single day of the week. I think Mark will probably be handling a couple of them, and the morning videos will be done as well. They may be abbreviated as well, where I'll be doing some of them and Mark will be doing some of the others. I appreciate that, Leisure Beast. Really, I do. Wait, I just found you. Okay. You will message me on Messenger. Thank you so much, Swiss Vapor. I appreciate that. That's perfect. That is perfect. Okay. Miss Hermit Hill, Kentucky says, at least the captain mans the boat better than he mans the computer. Yes. No, yeah, Angel Mist. I'm not leaving. I'm just going to Florida. I can assure you that I will be here doing what I do. Yeah, you can do it right after the live feed, Swiss Vape. That'd be perfect. If you just want to reach out to me then, that would be perfect. The Squirrel Beast is coming to the east, says Saigon Cinnamon. Correct. No, Angel Mist, I will be doing the exact same show. There will probably just be an ocean behind me that will not be a green screen projection. I will actually be on the water for a period of time. I'm going out to get my eyes fixed, seeing some family and getting these worked on. If you just got here, you probably just think that this is my normal look. It's not, but my eyes have just continued to deteriorate as I get older. Angel Miss says, I live by the Cape in East Central Florida. You're going to have a nice time. You know, I'm hoping to. I've been checking the weather, and it has been saying that, the weather where I'm going is lovely. So it's certainly going to be warmer than northern Nevada, which is right up on the border of California, but in a tough time. You've had that done, Miss V. Hopefully you're going to tell me really good things, right? Oh, my goodness. Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi says her eyes are bad too, 4.75 with the reading glasses. I believe it requires 2 Coca-Cola bottles to make 1 pair of glasses. Yeah, that is amazing. LASIK surgery, it's not hard. How did the healing process go for you, Miss V? Was it, because I've heard people say it both ways, where they got the LASIKs done and everything was groovy, and then I've heard people say that, they've had a, sort of a, it worked well for a while and then kind of reverted back, which is a little frightening, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Yeah. You had to get them thinned. I'm terrified of surgery. The thing with the LASIK surgery is it's done with a laser, so there's no metal making eye contact with making contact with the eyes. They're not actually carving on you. They're just using, and the particular type that I'm getting done, they just slice apparently 3 different cuts into the lens of the eye using a laser, and those 3 cuts change the aperture. In theory, bringing it back to where it will be in perfect focus, and I won't be doing this thing. If you're happen to be watching this and you're younger, you reach an age. For me, it was right around 46 or 47, and it's just everything started going. My eyes got progressively weaker, and everything else sort of. You will miss my sexy glasses. That is the funniest thing said on this show in a very long time. Really, it is. Yeah, that doesn't even make sense. So, people. The next time we go on, it's going to be about 1 hour from now, and we're actually going to do what I had talked about earlier this morning. We're going to talk about some of the actual physiology of the brain. Now, it's one of those subject matters that I will probably be backing up with some pictures that I will put up in some other place, and I'll tell you where those are going to go, because there are some pictures of the imaging of the brain that really sort of paint a picture. Captain, it was my first time being in timeout. It's an honor to me that you did it. You know something, Swiss Vapor? I think that puts you into a class of people with Chi-Chi and 1 or 2 other people that I have messed up on. I have known 2 people that have had it done, and they love it. By the next day, no pain. Angel Mist, that's awesome to hear. Really it is. That's it's something that I hope, does... I hope it takes care of this. It's been really frustrating. I read a lot, and putting on reading glasses is no big deal. It's not it's not labor intensive or anything like that, but it's just it's a pain, and I'm forever finding myself without them, in spite of the fact that I literally bought a 6-pack of them when I bought them, and then I had 2 or 3 other pair already at that point. So I keep them everywhere. In theory, there's supposed to be 1 here, 1 by the television set, 1 by the bed. They always end up in the same place, and I can't find one. You still need reading glasses. I'm good at every distance except usually up close. But it has been that way for a long time. Now it's getting progressively worse. So yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully this is Fiona says, I never had an eye surgery. I think I've had surgery on everything else on my body, just not my eyes. I am the guy that can say that as well. Achilles tendons, knees, shoulders, wrist. Yeah. And then, yeah, plenty of other parts of me. Had it done 30 years ago. It wrecked my short vision, and now my eyesight is worse than when I had it. Oh my goodness, seventh son, that is awful. Hopefully, 30 years has seen a mountain of progress, but that's a horror story. That is absolutely awful. It wrecked your short vision. So I assume that that's not what you were getting it done for, was your short vision? I don't know. That's frightening, seventh. Really. DJ Daddio says, Chi-Chi, so you're going to watch the fights and hope a hockey game breaks out. Hey, she's Canadian, Mr. T. You better be careful. Them's fighting words to a Canadian. Get yourself in very serious trouble with words like that. So people, a couple of things that I talked about right in the beginning that I would sort of like to recap. Okay? One is, between now and the end of the year, when we are going to be making, you had it done for far, yep, okay. We're going to be making some very serious changes to the boat. I don't want anyone to panic about that. We're going to certainly keep the spirit of the boat exactly how it is. But we are trying to make this we're trying to make this your boat, and we're trying to make it so that it is, above all, supportive and informative, right? We want to be here to kind of be a place, you know what the goals were, what the dream was, and we feel like those aspects are coming true, pretty true, right? We're becoming a place where addicts come to talk, and it's been, I think, a pretty solid thing for everyone all around. But we don't want to. What we want to make sure is that we're not missing anything. If there's a need that you feel like the boat isn't filling, or if you think that there's an area that we're coming up short. A new mizzen mast on the poop deck. You're the third person to say that, so there must be a need to that. Truthfully, if you think that there's anything that we're coming up short on, addicts aren't great with change, but we will support whatever you think is best. Well, see, that's kind of the key too. I really would like to, a lot of these changes. We're taking a lot of the things that you people have suggested to us in the past and implementing them. Honestly, that's sort of how we've gotten to this point. But as we're getting ready to, why don't I reword this? In building the lifeboat and doing what we did, we wanted to make sure that we got a product that we were happy with and a concept that we were happy with, and get it polished up and get it to where we feel pretty confident about what it is we're doing, and we can sort of put that forward. And I think we're pretty happy with where the boat is, and in a very short time, the amount of success that we've had with what we're trying to do has been more than we could have hoped for. So that's all good, right? Now we're going into 2022, and we started with no editing. We started with no intro or outro. We started with no thumbnails. It's just kind of me sitting here, very much like my brother does it. And we sort of went in a little bit of a different direction. And there's a green screen coming in. There's some other stuff that's being done so that we kind of put out a more professional product. In 2022, there's going to be more of a push on promotion. We want to reach the most number of people that we can with the lifeboat. In the process of doing that, we don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize the relationship that we've built with the core group that we have here. So these are the things that we're kind of juggling to try to make sure we tick all the boxes. The first and foremost is that everybody here needs to feel like they're continuing what they're doing. I'm listening, but going out to get plywood out of a truck so that I can do dishes with Fiona and Chi-Chi when we are finished. Yeah, you guys are organizing the cleaning of the kitchen. I'll tell you what, I did it before I came on the air, so that's a lie. I didn't. There are things in the kitchen that need to be cleaned. Sounded good though. Yeah, so we want to try to balance all of those things. We want to balance everything so that we're putting out a product we're happy with, Fee, I haven't heard the captain say MVP this evening. Oh, okay. Chi-Chi says, I'm not doing dishes. Yeah. Can we be sponsored by Martini? You know what, Daniel? I like where this is going. I think that, actually, sponsorship might not be that far off from some of the things that we may look into. Believe it or not, the point is to push the message out as far as possible. Really, it is. That's something that from the word go. They're gonna say, we're greedy and commercialized and all of that and blah blah blah. What we are is trying to get the message to as many addicts as possible that there's a better way, and that you don't have to feel like there's one cookie cutter way to get sober. There are a lot of different ways to reach the same. Sponsored by Polo. Well played. There are many different ways to get to the base camp. Right? Not the finish line, because the finish line is around here is not what it is in other places. I'll second that, Charlie. Vegemite. Yep. Get out the plank. Sponsored by Vegemite. Wouldn't that be something? I think I'd rather maybe sponsored by Systroming. Yeah, you guys are really funny. Miss Hermit, you must be a millionaire if you can afford plywood. Yes, there's... You know something? Everybody, yeah, see, DJ Daddy-O has the better idea. That's the stroming stuff is going to come to an end. 11 days clean and sober for Todd Bergman. Is that Bergman? Congratulations, Todd. That's awesome. Proud of you. That's 11 days is beautiful. We are proud of you. That is an accomplishment. We're happy to have you on board, Todd. That's great stuff. The doctor that discovered the technique had a patient that was assaulted. The ones with the glass lenses of his glasses went into his eye. When the eye healed, the prescription was no longer worked. These are still horror stories. You're trying to scare me before I go down and get my eyes worked on, aren't you? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little frightened. Please do me a favor, Todd Bergman. Todd, reach out to me. My email is in the Dropbox on the channel. If you click that Dropbox down, you will see it. It's CaptainTommyScoville@gmail.com. That's CaptainTommyScoville@gmail.com. Or go and leave a message on one of the videos or whatever, so that I can figure out a way to reach out to you so that we can talk. I'd like to welcome the people that I haven't welcomed before on the boat, and since you're obviously new in town, I would love to find out a little bit more about you. But 11 days clean and sober, people. Got to be very happy for Todd. That is awesome. That's fighting the good fight. And you've got a good jump on the New Year's resolution, which is awesome. I think a lot of people this time of year sort of hold out for that, but it's great that you got 11 days already in. Thanks and okay. Awesome. We're proud of you, Todd. And while we're on that subject, Brandon, proud of you. I know that there's a lot going on with the holiday season, so Joe Birdwell, I don't know if Joe is on with us today, but Joe's got working on, I believe, starting his 3rd month of sobriety. Also, Mr. Andrew Eats is over the 120-day mark with his sobriety, so congratulations to Andrew. There's just a lot of people that, lest I forget, Flamin' Jackson. If you guys know Flamin' Jackson, he's one of the nicest guys that we've got on the boat. And I believe, what did I read? Someone can correct me on this. I want to say it's, is praising God okay to say here? Absolutely. Angel Mist, you can say praise God here. What we don't say is my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not going to get into heaven. But we don't bag on anybody's belief here. So absolutely, that's okay. Charlie Mullen says, thoughts and prayers go out to everyone that needs them. Jackson is awesome. And if somebody can give me the exact time, I want to say Jackson's closing in on 2 weeks since he gave up cannabis. So congratulations to Jackson as well. Hopefully he'll catch this later. We do want to congratulate Jackson as well. He's been doing awesome. And Cindy is coming into day 2. So that is awesome. And I believe Miss V is at 3-week mark. So there's a lot of people with sobriety dates. 17 days, says Fiona Crispin, for Flamin' Jackson. So pardon me, longer than 2 weeks. Good for you, Jackson. I'll tell you what, a lot of really cool stuff happening here. Saigon Cinnamon says, wow, I remember the first time when Joe said he had one day. It's even better when they give updates. We are doing amazing work, people. Absolutely, Saigon. I'm glad that you said that. You guys really are doing amazing work. And it's so humbling, I'm telling you, to sit here and watch what you guys do, because it really is, it is the crew. Tommy, you inspired me, Mark and everyone. I think it's going to be good. I'm so happy to hear that, Cindy. And you know how to get a hold of me. Start feeling a little shaky or whatever. Just reach out. Todd, we're glad that you found us. We really are. It's kind of it's a slightly different format than the average channel, but I think you're going to find a lot of people here that really pull in the same direction for the same thing. And that's, it's probably what we're most proud of here, is that you're going to see that we're not a very judgmental crew. We don't judge people for the things that they've done while under the influence, or for anything else that matter. You basically get judged from the day that you arrive here. We have 4 rules. They're pretty simple. And if you check any of the other live feeds, there's a little clip of me in the very beginning, and I go over the 4 rules. Other than that, it's just coming here and celebrating the victories, because the real world doesn't seem to get very excited when we celebrate things like 11 days or 14 days. I mean, there's a lot of the culture that just simply doesn't want to hear it. They're disappointed that we needed to get sober in the first place. Seventh Son says, Miss V, 1 month, 16 days. That is awesome. Charlie Mullins says, this boat is a great place to be. Charlie, we love having you. Tommy, we have to do the work, but you give everyone the inspiration and a safe place to be vulnerable. Thanks, Saigon. What a cool thing to say, man. I'm going to screenshot that one. People, I don't know if I told you this, but in dealing with the, sort of the ups and downs of what you do when you put something like this together, there are days that things are awesome and everything is great, and there are days that you just feel like you're getting kicked in the stomach once right after another. And on those days, I honestly go through comments like that. And Saigon, that's going in there. That is awesome. It really is a beautiful thing. And it's the dream. We'd like a place where people can come and celebrate and work through the problems. You know what I mean? Todd, if you're new here, we preach owning your past. We don't push the things that we've done in the past off on anyone else. A lot of times in recovery, you're almost encouraged to find something from the past that causes all the problems. And you know what? That's legit. A lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times there's, things from our past that sort of, kind of get us into that, into the mindset of wanting to use drugs to escape this or escape that. Nevertheless, we like to say that, you own it. It's yours. Just truth it the way it is. Miss V is 1 month, 16 days. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And has been so incredibly open. Cindy Lamb says, Miss V, I'm rooting for you. Don't quit quitting. I have a lot of faith in Miss V. She's been doing really, really well. People, there's a study I'm going to talk about probably in the next live feed, which will be going up in exactly 1 hour. But there's a study that I wanted to talk about on that that is fascinating. And it talks exactly about the difference between people who share and the people that don't, and the people that share more versus the people that share less. We're going to be doing that in 1 hour right here. I'm going to talk about that as I talk about some of the... Charlie, I don't have a biological brother, but you are better than blood. Ah, what a cool thing to say. I know you are against Vegemite, Tommy, but you should really try Marmite. Hey, wait a second. Marmot. Isn't that some kind of a, I don't know, man. Marmot sounds like a small thing that runs around and, and eats bugs and whatnot. Yep. You guys can have all of that stuff made of yeast. I'm good. I gave up yeast products. God, disgusting. I'm done. Yeah, good for you, V. Leisure Beast. That sums it up. All right, people, we are at the top of the hour, which means it's about time to wrap this thing up. We will be back in 2 hours. So at 6 o'clock on the West Coast, that would be Well, it would be the West Coast. It would be Oculi Mortis's coast. So we will see you people back here in 2 hours. Hopefully we see all of you. And Swiss Vapor, go do it. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. People, this is the lifeboat to the 2 new members that joined us tonight. We're so glad that you took the time to check us out. Hopefully you continue to come back. Yeah, please reach out to me. If you're brand new, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville at gmail.com. That's Captain Tommy Scoville at gmail.com. Please reach out. Tell me a little bit about yourself so that when I see you out there on the deck, I have a better idea of who you are. And between now and 2 hours from now, we have one assignment. It's the only thing that we do, right? We reach out and try to help somebody. Better yet, try to save them. I'm out of here, people. In theory.